All right, Ramon, what's going on?
What's up?
Everything's good.
Man, I am reading something from an SJW that makes Anita Sarkeesian look like, Attila the Hun. It's awful, and I'm going to be running something about it, but that's not what I called about. I've been, excuse me. I know you guys are tired of me coughing with the whole Hillary cough. So I guess it's there's a Hillary cough for smoke inhalation today. Have you heard about the fire at her house?
Yeah, I heard about the fire at their house.
Yeah.
When I heard about it, I'm like, that's instantly suspicious because what are they doing in the house? Are they burning evidence? What's going on?
Well, don't be mean, Anthony. I think everybody owes Hillary some Hillary coughs in solidarity for her predicament. It's I was actually watching a solution at work today, which she should probably take up, which was my boss was shredding just tons and tons of documents. Maybe she should have thought of that or something. So, or maybe she was burning the shreds or something. But anyway, um, two things I want. Well, I think I think if there's only two things I wanted to talk about for now, but first of all, I did send you info that there's a tweet with Keith Ellison holding up an Antifa handbook.
I saw
And
that. That is crazy. Absolutely
yeah,
insane.
so consider that. I'm humbly submitting it as a consideration for your next edited video, because you know, let's see where it goes. I guess give it time. Let's see how he twists in the wind over that.
It's going to be some accumulation. It's like a snowball that just started. It's at top of the hill right now, and by the time I get to it, it'll be a gigantic, out of control thing at the bottom of it. That's when I'm gonna do my video.
That's I hope it's going to be some fun because it's pretty cold here and I need something besides work to keep me busy. But yeah, I remembered what else I wanted to talk about. So it's a couple things, and I hope I don't go too long. First of all, with the Bannon nonsense, it's pretty simple, and I think both sides are I think Bannon is more wrong than Trump, even though I am a Bannon supporter. And I saw your video, which was very, I think, even-handed. But Steve Bannon, I think, was right to criticize or resent Jared Kushner. And to be honest with you, I think that his biggest mistake was taking a job in the Trump administration,
Mm.
because if you think about it, every president, and I explained it to this guy at work once who was asking, oh, why did he hire this Nazi Steve Bannon? Well, that was a smear. That was everything they've said about him, and I get the trolls in the chat, so everybody should know I'm Jewish. Everything they said about him being a Nazi or whatever was completely unsubstantiated.
Right.
But his big mistake was that every president has this kind of jester that works for them. This guy that people consider the horse whisperer, and then once that person leaves office, they kind of lose their real independence because they're basically joined at the hip to that president. Because President Clinton, he had James Carville, and President Bush had Karl Rove, and President Obama had Valerie Jarrett. Now, if you look at people who are respected today, who's more respected? Is it Karl Rove, who got Bush elected but was also his idiot advisor for so many years? Or is it Dick Morris, who got Clinton elected and then basically didn't work for him in the White House but kept his own mind and sanity?
Mm.
Dick Morris is, and I don't agree with Dick Morris on everything, but nobody can doubt that he has his own mind. And Steve Bannon, I think, when he got fired from the White House, I think he believed that, he could still fly as close to the sun as he did under President Trump. But he's wrong, and they both owe something to each other, but nobody's going to care about Steve Bannon in a week or two, and people obviously are going to care about Donald Trump, and if Bannon is smart about it, I think he'll find some way to patch it up with with Donald Trump, unless it was some sort of like gag that they did together behind the scenes or something, which would be hilarious and would probably deserve a Sticks video at least. But that's it. I think generally I'm disappointed to see that the Bannon movement is probably going to take a major hit. I agree with his viewpoint on the world much more than I agree with even Ben Shapiro's or whatever. And you know, I'm not saying you don't have to. I'm not saying that I hate any of these people. I'm just saying that this is a tremendous waste of time for a lot of these people, and he should have A, not joined the administration, and B, once he quit, not written that in his book. And then last thing I want to talk about is that if you didn't notice, I think it was on Sunday, the Washington Post published an article, an op-ed actually, by David Kendall, who was President Clinton's defense attorney during most of the Lewinsky scandal and other legal troubles that he had during his presidency. And it was basically a defense of the Mueller investigation. So what it did was I wrote a blog post and I made a video about it, which I sent you the URL to it, if you can share it. But essentially, think about this. When President Clinton was going through all that nonsense, there was a guy who was up against him, Ken Starr, who was the prosecutor, and they dragged him through the mud relentlessly, all of the press. It was much more brutal than what Robert Mueller is going through, because a lot of the people in the press are sticking up for him, calling him a Boy Scout, and the biggest meaningless statement, registered Republican, which means nothing to me. And in the white, you know, in Washington D.C., being a registered member of either party is basically like just picking which parking space you're going to go to, because they're the same thing. So, you know, I go through, and you know, I can't go through it all right now because you'd probably have to move on to the next caller. But if you examine their behavior in the 90s and their behavior today with defaming the independent counsel in the 90s, and now they're sticking up for the independent counsel today on much less evidence than they had in the 90s. And then back in the 90s, they said, well, these women are coming forward because they're getting paid money, when they were talking about Paula Jones especially, and they called her a whore for appearing in I think it was in Penthouse, and they called Jennifer Flowers, I think they called her trailer trash and stuff like that. Well, nowadays it's been exposed that the same guy who they were complaining about back then is now working for them, doing it for Hillary Clinton, David Brock. It's the same dude. Right. It's the same. So their morality is solely dependent on the circumstance, on who's doing what. As long as they're doing it, it's totally halal, basically. You know, it's ridiculous. And you know, I hope people check out what I wrote. But in any case, you know, I think that your Baltimore video, I've been looking into some stuff regarding that as well. But very, very good stuff. And yeah, just I love watching how your whole, you know, your audience is growing and interacting, and the discuss and or not discuss, what is it? Discord.
Yes.
Is developing. So yeah, keep up the good work, Anthony.
Thank you for the call, man. Definitely appreciate you.
All right, have a good night.
Same to you.
Bye.
All right, shout out to Ramon. He gave me an article to share that he was talking about right there, and I'm going to put that right here in the chat if I can get to it. Hold on. Let me see. Let's click here. All right. Thank you all for being here. Definitely appreciate you. We got 189 in the